But the feature I worked on recently is the AI adoption score. So engineering managers, directors, executives, they want to know how the thing that they're paying for is being adopted, if it's being adopted. And if it's not being adopted, then how do we improve? And so we came up with a few sort of high-level metrics we call frequency, depth, and coverage. Those all come together into your AI adoption score, which we're currently sitting at 52%. I'd like to get that higher. And you may be wondering, and users do too, what these metrics actually are and how you can improve them. You can click into it, drill into this specific metric for the time period, and get strategies for how to improve on that metric. And then, similarly for depth and coverage, gives you all this good insight. Now, like actually building this was pretty hard because the data that goes into each of these metrics is way more specific than this like sort of high level metric. So I've got to get data from a bunch of different sources, pull them all together and aggregate them. And just knowing exactly like how we would calculate these things was a bit of an unknown at the beginning. And so Emily, our CTO, I'd say kind of head of product as well, she had this document that kind of outlined what she was thinking about it. And this is most certainly an AI written document that was from a more vague thinking. So when she handed this to me, the first thing I did was I created a discovery document. I need some place to write down random ideas and collect my thoughts. And you can see here, I'm like doing some research, like who are our competitors in this feature space? How do they do things? How do we define the metrics in the PRD and actually get the data for them? Different problems I've discussed with myself and I've discussed with AI, which I'll get into in a minute. And so like the first thing that I do is I really need to understand the solutions to the code I'm going to be writing before I get the prompting. It's really important to me. And this discovery document helps guide me to get there. So anywho, the first thing I did with the spec was I pasted it into, sorry, not the spec. The first thing I did was I pasted this PRD into kilocode. And I go over to my development environment. I've got a CLI typically running in one of my terminal windows. And I might ask it something like, hey, here's a bunch of like architecture documents from our code base. And here's a PRD. What critiques do you have of this PRD? What are the holes? And what are the things I should ask my PM about? So this is like sort of my chat window here. And it gives me some, pretty decent answers here. And this helps me continue to build and iterate my my understanding of it. And you can see we've got quite a bit of back and forth on this document for clarification. So anywho, I'm building clarification. I end up using the same chat window to end up generating a spec. The spec is not exactly right. And as I read through it, I understand like some of the stuff is not totally baked. But the important part is like once I do finally understand stuff, I can start thinking about my prompts. So just keep in the back of your mind that like all my AI usage at this point is purely just sort of chat based and me building context on how I can start prompting for code. And once I do get that understanding, I can basically take up a number of these prompts that I've pre-written and kick them off to start doing various things. So for instance, I knew that we were not tracking, actually this is the wrong one, but I kicked off a cloud agent session to create a pull request to the kilocode extension to actually track our organization IDs when we're collecting telemetry so I can use that data. And it might seem like I'm indexing really hard on like sort of the planning side. That's because I am. but I also index very hard on shipping like a proof of concept. And so I did that with this pull request. So while I was building this pull request locally, let me go back over here. I did it all sort of in like this back and forth style with a single coding agent. It was very like back and forth with the agent, me refining what it's building and adding new features to what we're building. And all in the while this is working, I'm doing more of the background cloud agent stuff, right? Kicking off the little tasks from my discovery document. I can just kind of copy and paste little things into the cloud agent and let that work in parallel while I'm doing like the more deep work with the coding agent. So you can see here, this actually cost us, this one POC cost us $92 in credits for the coding agent. And once it was ready to go, I opened a pull request for it, solicited review from the kilo code review agent, and it found some issues that I needed to fix, and we merged it pretty quickly last week. Yeah, so this is kind of outlining how I'm doing my day-to-day. We've got the like intents. Well, actually, first we have like the planning, figuring out how to do the thing, building my own internal model, collecting all my random thoughts in this document so that I can then plan with an AI chatbot, so that I can then kick off cloud agents in the background so that I can focus on the sort of like harder problems, long tail stuff with the coding agent. And then that finally goes to the review agent for review.